Unicorn Circuit.
Welcome to the Unicorn Circuit, your weekly dose of Fanking car news
And My Town. Wait.
and Fanking.
Story time. Weird stuff from the Unicorn.
And Random Meat Bag and a bunch of other random things.
Yeah.
Of course, down today, we are at the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000. I can tell you it's loud and it's exciting.
And it's exceptionally wet.
Yes.
Which is making it for some pretty exciting driving and clouds of rainwater that just streams after each car.
Martin, what's incredible is that these guys can change tyres like that quick, yet it takes us a couple of months usually to like paint some calipers red.
And they can do 200 plus k's an hour just with water, in a rainstorm.
Martin, I do believe there was some talk earlier. Somebody said that we should challenge the Super Cheap Auto supercar to a drag race with the Cresta.
Yeah, I heard that.
With Choptimus Prime. Is that something you guys want to see? It doesn't matter what else we do today, but we could probably organise that. If I'll see if I get a nod from someone who knows. We're getting nods over here. We're getting nods. That is the Super Cheap Auto V8 supercar. Is it still a V8, Martin, or it's still
Still a
for now,
V8,
isn't
yeah.
it?
That may change in the
What
in
are
the
they going to
future.
call the V8 supercars when they're not V8s
They're going to call them
anymore?
supercars, and they already do.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, they're just slowly phasing that out. Anyway, that's something that we'll get to in the news. Now, normally, of course, we kick right into the news, but no, this time, instead, we're kicking first into story time.
Today's story time involves the story of how we found ourselves here after being in Adelaide at this massive fan meet we did yesterday.
And then having to get here. And this is how it happened.
Get to the chopper.
All right, so there it is. Now we can resume our usual programming and let's just kick it right into the news.
So some supercar, not V8 supercar news that we might kick off with is that these things are going to be Turbo 6s.
Wow.
There's talk is to get more manufacturers into the game, because if you don't know much about the history of it, it was always kind of like Ford and Holden, big rivalry. It's still there, but there was Minis back in the day and Skylines, and now there's Nissan in there,
Volvos.
Mercedes, Volvos, all sorts of stuff. So obviously the technology is changing too. You've only got to look at passenger cars and see where they're going with turbos.
Yep.
So it's going to happen in racing as well. They've actually started to test them, and there was one of the test cars up here over the weekend, Turbo 6. Some of the punchers were saying it's not loud enough. And some of the drivers were saying actually inside the car it's mental. It sounds amazing. The sound is more technical. Everyone knows what a turbo car. It's going to be a little bit more muffled, not quite as angry or brutal like Mod Max. Let's have a listen to what that sounds like compared to what a Turbo 6 sounds like.
But maybe it's going to have lots of mad induction sizzle on, something we didn't get before.
It's going to be different, but it's good because technology is coming up and it introduces a whole bunch of new technology into this race, which keeps it exciting rather than just having sort of two cars and that's it.
I also understand that they tried some new technology with the brake pads here, but there was a problem because it was actually damaging the rotors.
Yeah, the rotors were cracking.
And now we're going JDM. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
There was two kinds of different brake pads that the guys were using, but the rotors are control. And control means it's the same on every single car. You're not allowed to use anything different, but you can choose pads. But a particular kind of pad was cracking the rotor, these guys were saying, some of the tech guys. So they've gone back to some Project Mu, like JDM ones. Same thing with what's in your Honda, dudes.
Now, Martin, speaking of Honda, and that's a fantastic segue, in our banal news of the day, Honda is releasing a red edition.
Red edition what?
of a Honda.
A red rocket.
It's in like
Are they introducing a red rocket?
No,
Dude,
but
Honda's introduced red rockets all over the place.
It's in anticipation of like some type performance model of some kind. But what they're doing is they're doing a red edition car where you get some red stitching, maybe some red little wings and some black wheels.
I like stitching.
Thanks for that.
I like wheels.
In other news though, on a more serious note, Ford Ranger. We drove one a couple of years ago in New Zealand. Obviously it was epic. Last month, from what I understand, the information that I have, it was like the highest selling new car on the market, like the new model car on the market.
Super popular. Hey, we said that about New Zealand not long ago.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
And now that's happened in Australia as well. It's like outsold Toyota's Hilux.
Going crazy. And I think on the news on Unicorn Circuit not that long ago, we were saying that it's the highest car sales in Australia ever, driven by utes.
Wow.
Utes and commercial vehicles and people who are like, oh, I've got to get me Ranger so I can go fishing on the weekend and then pick the kids up from school on Friday.
Yeah. Absolutely crazy.
Put the dead bodies in the back.
There it is. That is the car news of the week. Of course, now we're going to hook into, is that even legal? Today we're going to the UK where we've got a very interesting law. We love doing this each week, looking at weird laws in each country. But in the UK, since about 1986, they've had a law which states that it is illegal to handle a salmon in suspicious circumstances. What kind of circumstances could you handle a salmon suspiciously?
What does it even mean?
It's something gross.
I've seen like fishing photos where they hold it like that.
Come on, man.
No, they do. They hold the salmon. They're like,
Anyway,
check out me salmon.
yes.
name's
Anyway, it's
John.
illegal to do that. The other thing, just randomly, it's illegal for politicians to wear armour in the Parliament.
What if
That's
it's a
the thing.
chastity belt? Iron undies.
I don't know
those.
Yeah, no. Pa-ching! Anyway, so there it is. That is that for this week. Martin, what's next, my friend?
I think it is My Town. My Town is the delightful art of you taking us to your town. There's a whole bunch of towns we've been into in the world that are particularly interesting. One of my favourites was in Holland, the Netherlands. Was it Holland
That's
or
the
the
same
Netherlands?
place now.
It's the same
I
place.
think we've worked out,
It's
even though they're different, we know it
You
is.
worked
We
that
already
out.
checked that.
But we're going to go to this freaking awesome town.
Do we know it's freaking awesome, or are we
Yes.
just making that up?
No, it's going to be mad.
Is it?
I have a good feeling in my
Okay.
belly.
Hi Unicorn Circuit, I'm Mark and this is my town. We're in Gouda or Gouda. That's famous mostly for its cheese, the Gouda cheese, and for its stroopwafels. Today I'm going to show you where Mark lives, and that's in the Netherlands. And the Netherlands are right next to Germany and Belgium, and below that's France and Spain and all kinds of other countries. Europe. So in the Netherlands we have a couple of big cities. They're called Randstad, and this round of cities are the big cities Amsterdam, Utrecht, The Hague, and finally Rotterdam, and smack in the middle we have Gouda or Gouda. So Gouda is my town, and I'm living in this nice green neighborhood just 8 minutes away from the city center. By bike, that is, because, well, we're in the Netherlands, so we all go by bike. Except when I'm not, and then I drive my car, which is introduced by a special guest. This is Mark's Mitsubishi 1999 Galant. And here's the old city center. And with old, I don't mean to imply that there would also be a new city center, it's just very old. When there are no activities, you'll see the large open area surrounded by shops and a lot of restaurants, dinings and cafes. And several times a week the city center is filled with a big market. Once a week there's Gouda's Montmartre, but many other events take place here, like the famous Kaarsjesnacht, which translates to something like Gouda by candlelight. Also in December there's Gouda by artificial light, where an artist does spectacular light projections on the old city hall. During the winter there's an ice skating rink and so much more. Some other things that take place here are Orange Night, the day and night before King's Day that we have. But most famous and a must-see during the summer months on Thursdays is the traditional cheese market, which is replicating how cheese was traded up to, I don't know, about 40 years ago. Here at the city center we have the old city hall, which is now used for celebrations like weddings. And there's the St. Jan's Church, or usually called the Big Church, With 123 meters, it's the longest church in the Netherlands, but it's also very famous for its wonderfully colored glass windows. Gouda originated at around 1100 AD and soon became a busy trading place, as it's located right where the river Gouwe and the river IJssel join, trading clay pipes and pottery, some textile and later cheese and candles. Only 4 out of originally 20 windmills remain, and the one near the city center is built right on top of the old medieval castle foundation. The castle was torn down to not provide any advantage for the Spanish conquerors at the time. This windmill eventually caught fire and burned down completely in 1831, but was rebuilt a year later. I hope you've enjoyed this little tour. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.
So there it is, there's the video that we just inserted that neither of us have seen, but we're pretending we've already seen because we haven't had a look, because we were in Adelaide yesterday. We would love to see your town. If you would like to send us a video of your town, send it to my town at the Unicorn Circuit. Put your camera this way, try and not get any like wind noise in it, don't use any music, and send it to us at my town at the Unicorn Circuit. Next up, Martin, it's time for thanking. Thanking is the delightful art of recontextualising a product by taking a photo of it down near your crotch. And this week, of course, we've got 10 incredible thanks that have been sent in.
We're just going to go there. We're going to go straight into the thanks.
We're just going to go there and we're going to do them snappy, back to back. It's a super set of thanks. Here we go. And 1, and 2,
Incredible.
3. Look at that. Look at it go. 4.
So
5. That one's rude.
incredible.
6.
So oh man, wow.
7.
That one, I almost lost my lunch.
8. 9.
And thank of the week number 10.
Thank of the week, Martin, please do us a drum roll. Thank of the week is... Well done, well done. We would love to share your thanking photos on the page. You can upload them to the Thanking Facebook page, which is facebook.com/thankingdaily. We will share the best ones on the show.
Cool.
Some are too rude, you'll have to see them on the intervals. And now it's time to go into...
Random Eat Bag is a delightful art. I always start everything with a delightful art.
It is a delightful art,
It is a
Martin.
delightful art. So this week on Random Eat Bag is something a bit special. If you're from Australia, it might not be that special, but if you're from somewhere else, you're about to experience why it's special. Ready?
What is it, Martin?
Set, go.
Oh, Arnott's Shapes Original Barbecue. Yesterday in Adelaide, I saw someone eating a whole box of these for breakfast. Are these an Australian thing?
I think they are.
Really? Can you get them overseas? Have you ever seen them overseas? No? So Arnott's Shape Original Barbecue, this is meant to taste like a barbecue. It's baked, not quite, original flavour.
Made in Australia.
A lot of people eat these when they're, this is not custom content by the way. A lot of people eat these when they're working on their car, and that is a
baked
delicious
biscuit.
crispy snack.
And supposed to taste like a barbecue. But I'm a bit confused. What does a barbecue actually taste like?
Well, you're about to find
I
out.
see people putting like weird sea creatures on barbecues, and that's apparently a barbecue. This tastes like a weird sea creature. We know what would happen. One of us would be vomiting.
Okay, Martin, thank you for sharing. That is the show, of course, for today. Thank you very much for watching. We would love to see a V8 Supercar versus Cresta. If you want to see it, put it in the thing below, and we will make it happen. Because even the people that said yes now, if later on they find out they can't, by the time you all comment, we just have to do it. So that'll be Super Cheap Auto V8 Supercar versus Choptimus Prime. Let's make this happen. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.